Welcome to You Brew Kombucha. In this video, I'm going to talk about a question that I've been getting asked a lot by friends, family, followers of this channel, and so I just wanted to set the record straight and just share some of my thoughts about the decision. And the question is, am I starting a kombucha business? Do I have any plans to start a kombucha brewing company? And in short, the answer is no. I don't have any current plans to commercialize my kombucha brewing process. And the reason behind that, I have a few different reasons behind it, but truly my main goal and what I truly feel passionate about when it comes to kombucha brewing is I love the small craft process of it. I love sharing it with friends and family. I'm not really interested in scaling it or mass producing it. I'm also not interested in making this my day job. So I've actually gotten a few offers from different people and businesses to partner with them to either sell my kombucha or scale my kombucha in some capacity. And I've dabbled around with a few of them, but the reality is that I actually didn't really get much joy out of scaling the process and selling my kombucha. I really love just the kind of almost therapeutic process of just using it as a leisure time hobby of mine. And I found that having set expectations of consistency and quality control just really put a damper on a lot of the aspects that I love about kombucha. So one of the biggest reasons behind this is if you've been homebrewing kombucha for any length of time, you might notice that your homemade craft product is actually a lot different from the commercial kombucha that you buy from the stores. And there are a lot of reasons behind that. It's because kombucha brewing is it's simple once you get the hang of it, but the processes that are at play are actually very complex, and they're dependent on so many different variables: your unique location, the temperature, the flavorings you use, the unique bacteria and yeast in your particular SCOBY that's different from other people's SCOBYs and different from commercial brewers' SCOBYs. And the intent and the expectation with a lot of consumer products is consistency. So if you buy a bottle of, Coca-Cola, for example, you expect that Coca-Cola to taste like Coca-Cola no matter where you buy it from, no matter if it's in a bottle or a can. There's just this expectation that it's going to be consistent. It's that consumer expectation of consistency that makes me hesitant to jump into the commercial brewing operation. Just because what I love about the kombucha brewing process on a small craft scale is the variability. It's the fact that playing with the variables that nature has presented me in order to mold them and make a product that I uniquely like. And what I'm finding is that in order to ensure a consistent brew, you either have to water down your kombucha, or you have to pasteurize it, or you have to use yeast inhibitors to prevent SCOBY growth, which just makes me wonder if is the bacteria and yeast that I'm trying to preserve in my natural product, if I commercialize it and use yeast inhibitors to try to prevent the yeast from growing, is that sort of counterintuitive to the whole process of brewing kombucha? So I think that there are already a lot of really fantastic craft kombucha companies out there that are not taking shortcuts, that are not using yeast inhibitors, that aren't pasteurizing their products. And my recommendation is to go support a small local kombucha brewing business where you can actually talk to the brewers and ask them about their process. And they should be open about telling you about their process of brewing kombucha, because it's a very natural process. And if they're being secretive about additives, then that's when you might want to question, why are they being so secretive? Because it's actually a really simple process to make this stuff. Another element of that expectation of consistency is, as any home brewer probably has experienced, there are times where you open your kombucha and it just fizzies up and spills all over the place. And no matter how much experience you've had home brewing, that's still an experience that I have to this day. And it's just an experience that I've had to come to terms with, the fact that this is a live, living product, that I can't control every aspect of it. But the reality is that if you buy a bottle of something off the shelf and you open it and it explodes all over your car, you're not going to be very happy with that brand, and you probably won't buy it again. And I just have a lot of really high expectations for myself, and so I wouldn't be able to release a product out into the world that has the likelihood of that happening and tarnishing that brand reputation in some way. And There's also just the issue of quality control from a supply chain management issue. The thing with these kombucha bottles is that because it is a live living product that will continue to ferment, it needs to be kept at a very consistent cold temperature to prevent over fermentation so that it doesn't get too acidic, and to prevent it from being over pressurized by the natural carbonation that's building up as the product continues to ferment. So say I release or sell a batch of homemade kombucha, of my homemade naturally made kombucha, to a store, and they keep it outside of a refrigerator for 3 days before they remember, oh my gosh, I need to refrigerate this, let me put this in the refrigerator. That batch of kombucha is now going to be way more fermented and more acidic than the other kombuchas on the shelf that were refrigerated immediately. And there's also the fact that kombucha will still continue to ferment even if it is refrigerated. So even if it is properly stored at the proper temperature, if there's a bottle of kombucha that's been sitting on the shelf in the back of the refrigerator for 2, 3, 4 months, that could still be way more over fermented or over carbonated and more acidic than a bottle of kombucha that looks the same in the fridge but is just a fresher batch of kombucha. So there are just a lot of issues with quality control and consistency that, to be honest, as a home brewer and as someone who's doing this as a passion project and a hobby, those are just complications that I'm not really interested in diving into, especially when I have a whole other day job and a whole other career that I love, and this is really just something that I do for myself and my family and friends. So that's a little bit of a long-winded answer to the question, but I have been getting a lot of questions about, oh, I'd really love to taste your kombucha, I hope you sell some someday, and I just wanted to clear the air about where my intentions are and where I am at for the time being. I never want to close the door to any opportunities, and so I'll never say never in terms of whether or not I ever start a kombucha brewing operation on a commercial scale. But for the time being, I'm just going to stick to being a home brewer, and that is more than enough for me, because the whole intention with this channel really was to democratize this information. It's called You Brew Kombucha. I want you to actually do the brewing. I want you to feel empowered to have the tools and the knowledge and just the information that you need to make this yourself if you're interested in doing that. And so that really is my whole goal with this channel, is just making this information available to people. So as long as I'm doing that, then I would consider this a success. So I hope that was helpful in just giving you some of my perspectives on that. If you have any questions about the kombucha brewing process, you can always find that information here on my YouTube channel or at youbrewkombucha.com. Thanks for watching. Happy brewing.